What is up YouTube? Welcome back to Cardfight Casual. Today we're going to be looking at my Soul Saver Dragon budget deck build. Now this is slightly more budget than the King of Knights Alfred deck, and the reason why I wanted to showcase this deck is because you've already seen all the other King of Knights Alfred's deck lists and deck builds, probably other places on YouTube, as well as other websites and tournament deck lists from champions in Japan. Now this deck is of course based around Soul Saver Dragon, and is definitely cheaper than the King of Knights Alfred version. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more of these deck reviews and videos coming out real soon. Check out my other stuff, and yeah, let's get right into it. I'm recording this early because I'm going to be going overseas this week, so you'll only see this probably 3 or 4 days from now. But that way you guys get to watch something, you know, twice a week. Alright, starting off we have of course the typical Soul Saver Dragon. Now his skill is a very classic skill, reminiscent of his original unit skill, back from the OG Vanguard. Soul Blast 5, but this is an active, so not just on ride. Soul Blast 5 and gives 6 of your units 15,000 power. Now that's a boost of 60,000 power across the board, and it's definitely a finishing move. But with this deck, with all the soul charging that it does, you might actually have 2 turns where you can use the Soul Blast 5. In which case, having rear guards on field is the most important, and that's also what this deck is based on. Also, as a secondary skill, you can see here, you can soul charge one every time he attacks when he's on the Vanguard. It's pretty self-explanatory, but a pretty damn good card nonetheless. Next, we have the first variation of the deck. If you have a little bit more money, or if you bought the trial deck, I should say, you'll be able to use this version. Now, this first version comes with 4 Alfred Early. Now, Alfred Early, of course, isn't a Holy Dragon or a Cosmo Dragon, but his skill allows him to call a Blaster Blade from Soul or from hand, counterblast for Counterblast 1, and to draw a card. Now, this is probably what you want to use for your first Grade 3 ride, because you want to have Soul Saver Dragon as that finisher. That doesn't mean you can't ride Soul Saver Dragon, but if you're riding Soul Saver Dragon as your first ride, you should be aiming to try and get off Soul Saver Dragon skill twice in the whole game. Hopefully that will be enough to push your opponent so that they will, you know, definitely have to drop a ridiculous amount of cards to guard, or they will just lose. So Alfred's really good because he gets to call those Blaster Blades from Soul that you might accidentally soul charge, and if you don't have him, you can just buy a trial deck and get 4 copies of him. So it's a pretty good card, and even though he's a vanilla on the rear guard, it's not that important because of course you'll be pumping up all your rear guards up by 15k, so that really does make a difference. If you can't afford a trial deck, or you can't afford a trial deck, but suppose you're using your Alfred Earlys in a different deck, or you don't have Blaster Blades to run, you can instead play 4 of this Star Drive Dragon. Now this is the Star deck version, but you can play the trial deck version as well. But the most important thing is that they all have the Force Gift Marker, and of course you want to ride as many times as possible to get those Force Gift Markers on the rear guard to pressure your opponent consistently while you're waiting for Soul Saver to get up to a certain level, so that you can use the Soul Blast 5 and finish up the game. Now next up for Grade 2s, we have 4 Blaster Blade. 4 Blaster Blade here. Of course you have the 2 foil and the 2 non-foil trial deck cards. Now this card is pretty useful if I do say so myself. It is of course Royal Paladin's boss unit from the trial deck. So if you bought a trial deck, you'll definitely be able to build this build pretty cheap. Blaster Blade skill, if you guys don't know, on the Vanguard, if you have 4 more rear guards, he gets +1 critical, and when you call him on the Vanguard or the rear guard circles, you can Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1 to retire a unit in the front row. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, this deck is probably going to want to use the Soul for Soul Saver Dragon skill. But the reason why you can use Blaster Blade skill is because actually the deck has so much soul charging that chances are you'll end up with an extra soul here and there. But of course, if you're planning for a Soul Saver turn, make sure that you calculate the number of cards in your soul so that you don't end up using Blaster Blade skill and realizing that, oh no, you can't actually use Soul Saver skill to finish the game. Always remember, even though Blaster Blade is a cool card, your goal is to finish the game, not just to retire one of your opponent's rear guards. Now, if you don't have Blaster Blade, or you don't want to play Blaster Blade in this deck, you have the additional option of running these cards instead. Starting off, we have, to replace them, 3 Sage of Wisdom, Sharon. This, of course, you can use the Start deck or the Trial deck version, with the Trial deck version being a +5k if you have 3 more rear guards. And this version, if it's boosted, you can Counterblast 1, and this unit gets +10,000 power when attacking, of course. Now, this deck is going to be pretty Counterblast light, so all the cards that you're going to be using today are almost all dependent on Soul, because you don't run the King of Knights Alfred, and because of that, you'll have a lot of Counterblast to use for all the other effects, which include, not one, but if you have, if you're swapping out the 4 Blaster Blade, you might want to take out one of these, because I play in the typical deck 4 Funagal. Now, 4 Funagal is really good, but 4 Blaster Blade, 3 Funagal and changing these 3 cards out here for Blaster Blades is really good to tech in a little bit of removal if you need it. But Funagal skill, it's a very good skill to help boost your Soul Saver along. When he attacks and he's boosted, you can counterblast 1, Soul Charge 1, and this card gets plus 5000 power. 5000 power is of course a nice bonus, but of course your goal is to be soul charging and building up. Maybe this is your first or your second Soul Saver turn. Now by riding all the way up to grade 3, you will have the grade 0, 1, and 2 in Soul, so that's 3 cards. When you ride to Soul Saver Dragon, you get the Soul Charge 1 when he attacks, and that means you just need 1 more of these effects to trigger, and then you'll have 5 cards in Soul. But of course, if you're looking to use Soul Saver Dragon's skill twice in one game, then he's good for that. Now next up, we have another very, very important card, 2, and I only play 2, and I'll explain this later. High Dog Breeder Akane. Now her skill is, I think most people know her skill, but to those who don't know, you can counterblast 1 when you place her on Vanguard or Rearguard, so that she can call a Pongal from the deck to the field. And the second skill is whenever she's boosted by a high beast, she gets plus 3000 power. Now let's talk about Akane's skill. And calling Pongals from the deck is definitely really good. It's an instant +1, and it soul charges 1 more card, because Pongal will soul charge when you call him in the same column as another card. So that builds up the Soul Saver, brings a card onto the field, and it thins the deck so that instead of drive checking these Pongals, you'll be drive checking your drive triggers, hopefully. And in the same vein as that, I'm playing 2 Conjurer of Mithril. You will notice that his skill does use a Soul Blast, Counterblast Soul Blast 1 on place from hand. That's important. That means you can't chain call, you can call a grade 2, Superior Call a grade 2 from the deck. But because this is from hand, you can't chain call 1 Mithril into another Mithril. Now, this is really important because you can immediately use his skill to call Akane, and Akane's skill to call Pongal. So for the cost of 1 card, you get 3 cards and a Soul Charge for your Soul Saver Dragon, and also to make up for that Soul Blast 1 from Conjurer of Mithril. Of course, if your opponent sees the Soul Saver turn coming, they'll try and retire Rearguards, and while that is not good for Soul Saver Dragon, if you have 1 card these cards in hand, that's essentially 3 more units on the field that immediately come into play. Last of all, we play 2 of these promo cards, High Dog Breeder Siren. You might think it's a little bit of strange inclusion, but if you want to swap these out for, let's say, 1 more Akane or 1 more Mithril, that's fine too. But in my personal opinion, I really like High Dog Breeder Siren because after you run out of Pongals to call, you can still use his skill with the other high beast in the deck, and his skill is on call, give a Rearguard in the same column, a high beast Rearguard, I should say. That's where it says high beast. Rearguard plus 5000 power for the turn. Now, it's a little gimmicky, and sometimes he won't go off because he won't be calling him in the same column as a high beast Rearguard. But when he does go off, it is a counterblast free cost, and I do think it's pretty useful. Oops. But it's important to note that it's only for the 1 turn, so after that he goes back to being a 10k base. But if you need to, you can always use him as Perfect Guard Fodder. So after this, we have the first most important card, Pongal. We have 4 copies of Pongal. So Pongal is a really good card. When you call him in the same column as something else, you can Soul Charge 1. If that card was a trigger, you get plus 5000. He gets plus 5000 for that turn. Now, pretty standard, you just want to use him to get your Soul Savers powered up as fast as possible. Next, I play 4 Lion Mane Stallion. Lion Mane Stallion, another great card. When you have 4 more Rearguards, you get plus 3000 power, continuous, so he can become a 10k attacker if necessary, or he can become a 10k boost. Now, of course, this is really good with your Alfred earlies, because it immediately brings it up to 23, and if you place a Force Marker under an Alfred early, it becomes 33, hitting that magic 20k 2 cards to guard, at a minimum, because you need at least 25,000, and there's no card with 25,000 shield. So, all around really good card, and because it's a high beast, you can use him with Siren. Of course, that will only enable you to hit Protect or Excel, Gift, Marker Cleanse for that 22,000 power, but if he has 4 cards on field, he hits 25,000 power. And if you put him behind Akane, because of Akane's skill, you will go up to 23,000, again hitting that same threshold that you want to be hitting. Next up, we play 2 Night Squire Allen, and his skill, Night Squire Allen's skill is to counterblast 1 when he's placed and call another card from hand. Then you can draw a card, and this unit gets plus 3000 power until the end of the turn. Now, Marin is probably a better option, but because I don't have Marins, this is also a cheaper budget option. Of course, you get 4 copies of this with every trial deck, so like I said, this is more like a modified Soul Saver version of the trial deck, and I think it's really effective. And last, for my grade 1s, I run 2 Knight of Rose Morgana. Now, similarly with Blaster Blade and Conjurer of Mithril, she uses Soul Blast. You may be wondering to yourself, why on earth you'd want to use Knight of Rose Morgana? Well, first of all, sometimes your opponent will be retiring all of your grade 2 Rearguards, because usually those are the ones in the front row, and you're left with a bunch of weaker grade 1 Rearguards that really can't attack that high. But if you're using Soul Saver as a finisher, when Soul Saver Dragon attacks, you do Soul Charge 1, even after you've used your Soul Blast 5, your Holy Charging Roar, to power up every single one of your Rearguards. Or rather, every single one of your units. In those circumstances, suddenly the Knight of Rose Morgana's Soul Blast 1 cost is it's a bonus because that soul that is under Soul Saver Dragon isn't really going to do anything. If you're reaching the end of the game, you're probably not going to be able to get it off another time, so you can use Knight of Rose Morgana's skill, use up that one Soul Blast, and force your opponent to drop another 10,000 shield worth of guard, really helping you push for that final game. And in some cases, if you don't have the right grade 2s, she may actually be a better booster than some of the actual grade 2 attacking units. Last of all, we're just going to go through our triggers really quickly. I play 3 Flash Shield Soul and 1 Margle because I couldn't find the 4th Margle, but pretty self-explanatory. It's a perfect card, and with this budget version, I really do recommend you get the Flash Shield Assaults because with other versions, you have space for the grade 1 version, the Strong Knight Runoria Perfect Guards, but with this build, you really need all the grade 1 space for those Pongos, those High Beasts, and all the other cards to tech in so you can soul charge faster. Then of course, we have Bringer of Good Luck Epina and Flogel for the good luck crits, and last of all, we do play for Elaine as heals, and of course, Grime as your stuff, or Glime, I guess his name is Glime now. But yeah, that was the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this build. Of course, like I said before, it is a slightly more budget build. I'm not saying that this is better than the King of Knights Alfred version. I'm not saying it's worse, but in the end, it's really based on how much money you have, how much money you want to spend, and how much you want to use King of Knights Alfred, I would say. Like I'm not sure if you guys realize this, but King of Knights Alfred is becoming a really hard card to find, and I'm still looking for a few copies myself for the other deck. But for now, I think I'm going to be sticking with this for some tournaments and see how far this deck goes, and yeah, maybe I'll come on top, and if I ever do, I'll let you guys know how I did with this deck. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and give it a like and give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have another deck you want to see me build. Like I said earlier this week, you probably have seen my Nova Grappler deck already out. I do have the other Royal Paladin build and a really budget version of a Kagero deck, but that will only be coming out probably somewhere around next week. So if you live in Singapore, leave a comment down below. Maybe we can meet up some time to play. I met some people at Bricks Play the other day when I was playing a tournament there. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy. Oh yeah, shout out to Benjamin and Boon Yong, I think that his name was, and yeah, Adam. Yep. What's up, guys? And Danish also, if you see this video. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know what other kinds of videos you want to see. If you want to see another unboxing, I may do another unboxing. But yeah, till the next video, have fun, and remember, it's okay to play casual.